Hello, everybody, and welcome to Those Who Give a Damn podcast. I am super excited today to have with me Judge Carlos Moore. Judge Carlos Moore is no stranger to community. He's no stranger to the fight for justice and equality across the country. And so I'm super excited to welcome him to the podcast today. Judge Moore, welcome to Those Who Give a Damn. Thank you so much for coming on and speaking with me today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I wanted to jump right in, Judge Moore. You're no stranger to fights. You took on a fight in Mississippi that many thought was impossible. The fight to bring down the Confederate flag in Mississippi. I want you to tell my audience, those of them that may not be familiar with your work, why is it so important for you to jump into this race for the 13th congressional district there in the state of Georgia?
Dr. Malone, we're living in unprecedented times. These are treacherous times, and there is a true threat to democracy. I am very afraid for the future of America if we continue on the current trajectory. I have a 6-month-old son now, and I have to fight for his future. I am bound and determined for him to have a bright future, and unless we get Trump in check, his future looks very bleak. But I do know that I have trust and faith in God first and foremost, and then I have faith in my abilities as a constitutional scholar and someone trained in the law to fight for what's right, and we will save democracy.
Judge Moore, I want you to walk people through your resume because we live in a time now where people don't always value credentialing, right? We live in a day and time as trained political scientists. We study politics, we track the data. Walk people through why you would be best fitted to be here in Washington.
I am the only trained fighter in the race. I served for over 22 years as a lawyer. I spent 6.5 years on the bench. And as you see, it's the judges just helping to save our democracy day in and day out because Trump is trying to just ignore the Constitution. He took an oath to obey and faithfully execute the Constitution. He's doing everything but that. And it's up to those of us that's trained in the law to get out there and fight and be a check to Trump. And right now, we don't need any novices on the job. This is too serious of a job for reality TV stars or whatever. We need to have someone that's trained and knows what they're doing. And I'm fully capable. I graduated from college with a political science degree. I have a Juris Doctorate from the law school, and I've spent over 20 years of my career fighting on behalf of the least of these. And I know what I'm doing. And in addition to that, I served as the president of the National Bar Association, and I represented the interests of over 65,000 Black lawyers and judges, law students, and law professors across this country. And so we supported Ketanji Brown Jackson when she was nominated by President President Biden to the bench. And so we are fully prepared to get out there and fight to save democracy.
What is the biggest threat to democracy?
The biggest threat, I'll call them a double threat, is Trump and Vance.
Why?
Because right now, Trump has been given the authority to do what he wants with impunity. The Supreme Court has basically said whatever he does in his official capacity as president, he cannot be prosecuted for it. So now he feels emboldened, unlike he did in his first term. In his second term, he is just running a rough shot over the Constitution because he does not see that there's any repercussions, any serious repercussions. And so the members of Congress are going to have a spine and a backbone and do what they need to do to save democracy. If that's impeaching him, convicting him, and removing him from office, that's what we need to do. We need to invoke the 25th Amendment. We need to do that, but something has to give. Otherwise, we are going to go the way of Russia with the oligarchs running this country.
We're currently in a government shutdown. If you were elected to be here in Congress, what would you tell your colleagues today?
The government shutdown is very unfortunate. I would not play politics. People are depending on the government to be reopened sooner than later. It should have never been shut down. And so I do believe that people do not want to see their health care premiums double, triple, quadruple. But I also do believe people want to make sure they live to see tomorrow. They want to be able to have food on the table. They have to buy gas put gas in their cars. They have real life immediate issues. And so there has to be a solution sooner than later. And so both sides are going to have to come to the table. And I have been trained in mediation. I know how to bring people together, and I know how to try to reach a compromise and a consensus. And that's what I would do.
And Judge Moore, you talked about your son, and so many young men across this country now, they feel hopeless. A lot of your work on the bench was restoration of young men, and particularly Black men, right? What would you say to young men right now in this moment that are feeling hopeless? What would you say to them in this moment? We have an election today. that's going to close in a couple hours. What would you say to young men who may not be getting out to vote today? What would be your message to them to get them to the polls before 7 p.m. tonight?
As long as there is life, there is hope. Never give up hope. Keep the dream alive. Things can happen if you fight for it, but we have to fight for our freedom. Freedom has never come free. It's always cost us something, and it cost some sweat equity. And so our forefathers fought to get us where we are now, and we're going to have to fight to keep the freedoms that we have gained. Otherwise, they will be removed. But I do believe when we fight, we win. And so that flag in Mississippi that bore the Confederate emblem, it stood for 120 years. But I knew that it could change one day. And I got out there and I fought, others fought, and collectively we won because we fought. Had we given up and said it's hopeless, that flag would still stand. Just like reparations. If we continue to fight for reparations, one day we will see reparations. I'm confident of that. But we have to fight for it.
I would say this, Judge Moore, we all have lenses in which we've experienced the world, and it really crafts us to be the people that we are, the causes that we get involved in. Much of your life work has been a fighter, a fighting for the most vulnerable, fighting for what you saw. I think about the late Congressman John Lewis. He said, when you see something that is not right, that is not just, you have a moral obligation to find a way to get in the way and make some necessary noise. You have done that your entire career. You've been a disruptor. Tell my audience why. Where did that lived experience of that natural fighter come from?
I just believe it's innately in me. When you grow up against all odds. I mean, I was born to a single 19-year-old mother in Mississippi, the poorest state in the union. You would have never, ever imagined that I would become a lawyer and a judge. But my family instilled faith in me, faith in God at a young age. I was brought up in the church, and that really changed my whole worldview. And I know with God, all things are possible. And so they didn't save money for me to go to college, but I knew that I could get scholarships if I worked hard and kept my grades up. And that's what I did. I got scholarships to both law school and in college. And so we were able to be a first generation graduate of both. And we were able to go change the trajectory of our family for generations to come, I believe.
Absolutely. What is your top agenda for your campaign? What are you advocating for? Because we live in a time now where a lot of the pundits are saying it's time for us not to advocate against something, but for something. Tell my audience and the people listening, what is your campaign for?
My campaign is for raising the minimum wage. It's going to be economic issues. We have to get the minimum wage up to at least $15 an hour. We have to reduce crime. I supported the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. I'm still supporting that. I do believe that the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act needs to be passed. Things like that we need to come to grips with and get it passed, get it across the finish line. But most of all, we need to make sure the price of eggs come down. We need hundreds of thousands of Black women have lost their jobs. We need to get them back gainfully employed. We need to make sure that people of color, especially Black men, brown folks, believe that they have a stake in America and they still can have a piece of the American pie. And so I will fight day in and day out to make sure that the economy grows from the middle out and not from the top down.
If you had one word to describe your campaign, what would it be?
One word to describe my campaign, it would be hope. I'm keeping hope alive.
And why?
Because I do believe hope springs eternal, and that with enough faith and enough hope, we can see a brighter day. Trouble does not last always, and I don't mind getting in good trouble to fight for my people.
Absolutely. Judge Moore, we live in a day and time now where fear is just all over our country. People are afraid to use their voices. They're afraid to use their circles of influence to make a difference. Because you're a fighter, it would be remiss of me if I didn't take this moment for you to speak to fighters who've lost the fight. A lot of people, they're afraid of what will come by speaking up. Can you speak to that? Because you still have that fight in you. Speak to those people.
Dr. Malone, I've always subscribed to faith over fear. I believe that with Christ, all things are possible. And that is my North Star, my guiding light. I do believe with him, all things are possible. And I can't fail with Christ on my side. And so I go for it in faith, knowing that there will be a brighter tomorrow. And I'm confident that we will survive this. We've been through worse. We come over the transatlantic slave trade. Many of my people thought they wouldn't survive, but they survived. They got here, did what they had to do, and we gained our freedom. And so we survived slavery, we survived Jim Crow. We're surviving Jim Crow point two. But there is a brighter day. But if we just bend over, or just lie down, we will not survive. But if we get out there and fight, as we are prone to do, we will survive and we will win. Right carries power.
Absolutely. What is your message to Black women?
My message to my sisters: we see you, we feel you. You have the distinction of having a double minority. While it's hard upon all of us because of the color of our skin, but with our sisters, you carry an extra weight. And so I've always told and been there for our sisters. We were there when Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson was there in that Senate hearing, the Judiciary Committee. We backed her literally. We were sitting uh, just feet away from her as she went through that grilling by the Republican senators. But she survived, and she's there now representing us so well. And so continue to do what you do. We see you, we support you, and we will always be by your side.
Your hope for the future of America.
My hope for the future of America is that we get back on track, that we are not judged by the color of our skin, but by the content of our character. I believe when we get back to that, we can all walk hand in hand and overcome. I do believe that we will overcome, but it's going to have to be based on the content of our character, not the color of our skin.
Tell people how to get connected with you, Judge Moore, in your campaign, and how to stay connected with you on this journey.
We are on the social media platforms. We are More for Congress. That's more the numeral 4 Congress. On Instagram, we are. You can find us on Facebook at Carlos Moore for Georgia. You can find us on TikTok, More for Congress. Our website is Carlos Moore 4 GA. So Carlos Moore, the numeral 4 GA. You can find us there. But we are available. We are out there on social media, and we are getting our message across.
Lastly, I'll say, as someone who's been around Washington and understand how big relationships are around Washington, Judge Moore, you have been around Washington. You've traveled the country as the National Bar Association. It's very important to have people who understand the nuances of Washington, right? With that being said, talk to people as we kind of close out today, how you've worked around the country to get things done. You've worked here in Washington on Flag Day. You hosted a rally, working, lobbying Congress. You've worked with celebrities and actors. Walk people through all the different factors of your connections that you have around the country, because I think that is important. Nothing is done in Washington in isolation. You have to come to Washington and be ready to hit the ground running. Tell people why that is important.
Yes, my contacts are vast. I know many of the members of the Congressional Black Caucus. In fact, when I sued the governor, and that case went to the U.S. Supreme Court, over 50 members of the Congressional Black Caucus signed on to amicus brief and the support of my stance about changing the state flag of Mississippi. And so I know from California to New York, many of the leaders of Congress. I had to work hand in hand with them as president of the National Bar Association. We lobbied on Capitol Hill. We lobbied the White House, the Justice Department, for things that matter to Black and Brown individuals. And so we have contacts not only domestically, but across the world. I mean, we are all over Africa, Europe, Asia, South America, advocating for the interest of Black and Brown people.
Absolutely. Just more, before we let you go, because we're going to air some of this tonight, what is your predictions for tonight's elections, and what is your hope for tonight's election?
I believe there's going to be a blue wave in those states that have gubernatorial elections. I'm predicting that the Democrat will win in Virginia. I do believe the Democrat will win in New Jersey. Of course, I believe locally here in Atlanta, I believe that Andre Dickens will be reelected as mayor of Atlanta. Of course, I believe in New York that the Democrat nominee will win there. And so I believe it's going to be a blue wave. It's going to be a tsunami. And I believe it's going to be indicative of what's going to happen in 2026. Should we have a fair and impartial election? I know the Republicans are trying to change the game midstream, but should we have a fair and impartial election and people are able to vote their will and it's accurately reflected in the results, I believe that there will be a blue wave.
Absolutely. The power is in the people. And Judge Moore, I couldn't be more grateful for you joining me today. I want to say thank you for your work. Thank you for being a role model to young men all across the country of what a true fighter is. And we look forward to seeing you out there. We know 2026 is coming. It's going to be an exciting year. And we look forward to having you back on the air as you get closer to the final days of the election. So thank you for coming on today. And we appreciate the work that you have done. And we believe that your record speaks for you. So thank you for having taken out of your time and coming on today. We appreciate that.
Thanks for having me.